and Lazy Bone was our hype man. You know, it was like the group. It was a group. It was three of us. I was the DJ. He was the hype man. And K Chill was the rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And they would take us to do shows together. And I really didn't like. I don't know. There was this one time we did a show with the Real Roxanne, and Lazy Bone had snuck in a bottle of wild Irish Rose and got drunk. And he jumped up on stage and started.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, man, yeah. Thank you so much. This is my partner JoJo. He's not very familiar with you or anything, but I know he did his research this week, so I appreciate you coming out here. I know you were.
Good. We out here to let people know.
Hey, you already know, man. Definitely. I mean, I got my swamp shirt on. You know how it goes, man.
Me too.
Yeah, that's the one I don't have too.
You got the OG.
Yeah. Oh, I've been around for a minute, man. I've been a fan for a long minute. I got the 3D glasses.
That was that's more than 10 years ago or something. We don't have those anymore.
No?
I should bring them back. That one's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I mean, if you check it out, it's pretty well taken care of. It's not
brand new. It's better than mine.
Hey, hey man, I bought that T-shirt and I was like, you know what? There's not many times I'm able to get a DJ Swamp shirt. I gotta take care of this bad boy right now. You know what I mean? And yeah, because there's definitely an origin story that involves you with me. Like I said, he's not in this whole world of DJing. He likes hip hop and everything like that. He knows a lot of the guys that you've worked with, of course.
Oh, definitely.
But for me, you're actually the whole reason I became a DJ. Like,
cool.
It was my second or third rave I had ever gone to. Apocalypse up in Denver. You, DJ Miss Lisa.
What year was that?
Oh man, 05, 06, maybe something like that. Cause that would be about the time I was getting into all of that stuff.
And where was it at in Denver?
Some random warehouse is all I remember. It was a big open spot that, from the front where the DJ booth was to the back was just pure open. You know what I mean? It was one of those spots that they never actually did another show there again, which kind of makes me sad. But yeah,
you know who else played?
Miss Lisa was there. DJ Orchid was there.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember that show, but I can't remember where.
Yeah, it was some super random spot. Like, the place that they did that was amazing, but they never did it again, which always kind of made me sad because I always like the warehouse vibes, I'm sure you've been to plenty of damn good warehouse shows, Oh man.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I was just trying to get this thing over here going here. Yeah, you were, but you were up on stage doing your thing. I don't remember exactly what you were playing at the exact moment until it hits, but you were legitimately the first turntablist I'd ever seen in my whole life. I'm a fresh teenager, brand new to all of this, and when you came up, it wasn't like the rest of them, so I wasn't sure what I was hearing. My brother always taught me about house music and break beats and, drum and bass. And then I remember, though, you suddenly dropped Slayer, Raining Blood. And that's where I came from. I came from heavy metal into the whole DJing and EDM kind of scene. And in my head, it clicked right then and there. And I was like, this is like, I didn't know you could do that. And I remember saying that out loud. I was like, you can do that? Like, you can actually do that? And, it just kept playing Slayer and it blew my mind. The very next day, I asked my brother to teach me how to spin records. He got me on the turntables and we started going at it, man. That's legitimately how I decided to become a DJ. It was one of the most insane things I ever saw, because I mean, even to today, I would still say you don't see even a lot of turntablists use a lot of heavy metal, at least that heavy, I would say. And,
right on. Well, you know, the specifically Slayer. You know, I was into hip hop before, like heavy metal or anything like that. You know, I was into hip hop. Slayer was on Def Jam. That was the label that, you know,
yeah,
Rick Rubin, Simmons, and it was famous for like the Beastie Boys and LL Cool J and Public Enemy. And Public Enemy actually sampled Slayer on she watched Channel Zero and stuff like that. So as a hip hop head,
yeah,
I was into Slayer through hip hop and then being on Def Jam Records and stuff like that. But you know, it definitely like reads different to people. Like you're like, oh, this guy is just like a metalhead and probably like started doing hip hop, but it was the other way around.
Yeah.
yeah. You know, to be honest, that's what I would have thought myself. Is you would have started out in metal and then kind of discovered, you know, the whole
everybody thinks
turntablist.
that, but I was just, you know, I got into that. I got into hip hop first, and then the stuff that they were sampling and stuff like that. I think that made me get hip to Led Zeppelin and get hip to like, you know, Black Sabbath and Slayer and everything else like later. You know, I was like deep roots in hip hop before I started trying to mix metal into it. You know, but I mean, hip hop like kind of was doing that a little bit when I was into hip hop before when it was a little more pure. But then for a while there, it was just like everybody was, you know, mixing rock with hip hop. You know, I mean, way early, like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys and Public Enemy, you know. And, yeah, that was just, but also, you know, it just kind of, it was kind of a cool gimmick for me coming from Cleveland, Ohio. And we were so proud to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I'm like that DJ and the DMC who came from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, kind of thing. So that was kind of what I was on a thing with. And, you know, it's just, I ended up in bands, you know, like Beck and, you know, and then eventually Ministry.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember, I think it was you that posted something. It was either you or the Ministry Facebook page posted something, you know, official. And I was like, there's no fucking way they got DJ Swamp, like, you know, because that's a band I've listened to for a while as well, you know. And
how'd that come about?
You know, it's the funniest thing. I did scratching when I was still in Beck's band, the saxophone player from Beck's band, David Brown, he had a group called Brazzaville, and it's basically like, you know, I would consider it a saxophonist's record that he had me, you know, come do scratching on. And the guy who engineered that record in like 98 or 99 or whenever it was, maybe even 97, 20 years later, he just calls me up out of the blue, like, yeah, we had somebody come in to do scratching on the Ministry album, but he didn't work out. And I told them, I know like the best guy for the job. And, you know, is there any chance you could come in tomorrow at noon and do scratching on this song? And I was like, cool, because he was producing the new Ministry record 20 years later. You know, I hadn't talked to him in 20 years.
Hey.
But, he called somebody and got my number.
That's wild.
And then the next day, I went to the studio and I knocked it out, and Al was just like blown away. Like, and within an hour of me like knocking it out, he was already like asking me to join the group. It was crazy. I mean, he was all drunk and stuff, so I wasn't kind of taking it too serious. And his girlfriend manager at the time even like pulled me aside, like, so I hope you don't really take what he's saying serious, because there is no way we can afford to add a member to Ministry and stuff. And I was just kind of like, Oh yeah, okay, whatever. But then it actually happened.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they always tell you the drunk mind speaks the truth.
Yeah.
I dig it because it was one of those things that I just it's something that doesn't happen a whole lot. Bands with DJs isn't a thing that is happening anymore very much. And to see you, one of the best to do it, was kind of like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It almost didn't feel like a real thing, and it was awesome. It was. You've always mixed my two worlds together so well, because even with your drum and bass routines and stuff, you know what I mean? Because coming from heavy metal, like, drum and bass was real easy to get into. You know what I mean? It was a very easy transition, and of course, I started to learn more about other genres and other DJs. You know what I mean? But there has always been something about your style, and also, and I think you might agree with me this, because I had to show him a bunch of your stuff to get prepared for this. You know what I mean? There's many years of music and history with you, like, working with Beck and all that. It's insane, and I've always wondered one thing about one of your songs. I don't know if you've ever talked about it with anybody. I was looking really hard, but Malachi, that is one of my favorite songs. Like, I just bump it all the time. And on the record, on the Ring of Fire record, at the end of the song, it's just the beat for a long time. So me and Victor used to get the mic
freestyles and shit.
Yeah, we'd plug the headphones into the microphone and just start freestyling over it. You know what I mean? But I've always kind of questioned, like, is that just a story you've kind of concocted together with, like, reality of like shows you've done, or is it just like a whole?
It was based on a true story. Like, only it didn't happen in East St. Louis. It happened in Detroit, but it was kind of weird. Like, I got booked to do a show, but there was no show, and it was like I had just got kidnapped and was just kind of like, a fan. Like, and it really, like, kind of opened my mind to, like, how vulnerable I was to just anybody call me up trying to throw money at me. I'm just by myself flying somewhere to do things.
Yeah.
And, and now I'm in a situation,
I mean,
I definitely exaggerated everything. Everything is exaggerated and amplified, as you do with movies and stories. It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
But it is definitely exaggerated. And, if you want to go through the whole thing, I can tell you, well, that was true. Well, that was exaggerated. Well, that was this, and that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what inspired it. And, it was, it was a funny story or whatever that I just kind of came up with, wrote it after, what had happened in Detroit.
I mean, of course it was Detroit, right? That's crazy, man. I mean, that song always stuck with me. I love that story.
Because I didn't want it to, I didn't want it to go any crazier.
I mean, I always thought it was an insane story. The whole idea of essentially being held at gunpoint to, rock a show was like, it's very Sopranos to me. You know what I mean? And it intrigued me, especially when just somewhere around 04, 05, I want to say, because when you do your shows, you always throw out the records and stuff, and I'm one of those guys. I'm always right up front, so I usually catch something like your 3D glasses sit in our background. Well, they used to, at least. Right now they're off to the side, but your 3D glasses you throw out, your stickers, all that kind of stuff. And that album was always something big to me, but that song always stuck out in my mind, and I always just questioned, like, if it was true. But one thing always stuck out in my mind. There's definitely one question I got to ask you. At least back then, I'm sure, I don't know if it's changed much for you, but was the whole 4,500 at the door and a G for every 5 minutes after your actual going rate then?
No. That was exaggerated.
Okay, yeah. I just, I mean, to me, like, I think
have made made more than that on shows. Maybe at that time I hadn't made that, but yeah, at that time I exaggerated it. But
Yeah.
I have made more than that, for shows. Not the every 5 minutes after it'll cost you a G part, but
I mean, it's not only a smooth rhyme, man, but in my head, I've always wondered that, because I was like, it does make some sense to have you on like that, because I mean, you're DMC champion, you've worked with some of the greatest names in the world, in the industry, I would say, in the world too, and it's just one of those things that always stuck with me since the first time I ever heard that record, because
well,
the
fact that the song is like damn near 10 minutes long, it's like 9 something, I believe, is the actual time on it. It was I made that music and with my boy Greg Orenstein, who is like a bass player, and we made that music, and I edited it in Pro Tools. Like I actually kind of had made the song, because it's like there's no chorus. It's just a long rhyme, and I just basically spit it to the beat, and then edited all that music to it. But then I had all this music left over too that was dope, and I just left it. I just let it ride, left it play. Like, so it's like, it's just, I didn't want to throw it away.
I mean, I'm glad you didn't. It was one of those things, like I said, we freestyle to it all the time. I used to get my buddy had another one of the records, so that was what I would try to beat juggle with that, at the end of it and stuff, because I was trying to learn how to do it. We had our Technique MK2s, but
nice.
Yeah, I'm glad you left that in there, because there's, and I mean, you make all your beats for your music, right? Like, you personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm definitely the producer of everything, whether I got help or not. I'm the producer. That's me. But if you want specific production on notes on Malachi, I mean, the whole thing with the Triton and the Roland MC505 groove box. That's it.
No shit, really.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much he knows about that.
Like
yeah, that's
I should
crazy.
Actually go back to the formula.
Hey, simplicity works a lot of the time, man. That was what.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I used the Roland, or no, not the Roland, Eventide H3000 for the effect on my voice. I think that's the only time I've used the Eventide H3000 on my voice. Greg Orenstein, he brought his Eventide H3000 over. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't even know if I used the magic air effect that's so like, infamous for the sound of the Eventide H3000. Tupac used it like on every song or something like that. But yeah, that song came together pretty fast, and there wasn't, like I said, there was no chorus or anything. It was just kind of like the one long rhyme. I knocked it out. Might have added a couple of sound effects here and there, but yeah, it came together pretty fast, and I did it all at home. I did All and Never Is Now at home at a time when before people were doing home studios and stuff like that. But I was in Beck's band at the time, and Beck had a home studio, and bass player had a home. So pretty much everybody in the band had a home studio. So I had to have a home studio too. And
right,
if I hadn't have been in a situation where they were like, "Oh no, you can do it at home now. You just need this and
yeah,
Pro Tools." And yeah, I was fortunate at the time to just be around people that were on the cutting edge of doing stuff at home.
I mean, yeah, at that time, it was definitely something that, regular people like myself thought it was completely out of reach of doing, you know what I mean? And computers started helping us out on that end.
Thanks.
I'm glad that we got our advancements, but it also made me realize I suck at making music. I'm better spinning it.
True that.
But I've also was wondering, because you have such a deep knowledge of hip hop. You're so involved. So much about what's going on, even now, back then. You're always so knowledgeable. But I've always wondered, because I don't know if I saw this or I missed it somewhere, but like who or what got you started in hip hop back in the day?
Breakdancing.
Just straight breakdancing,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, breakdancing.
Oh.
I went to school in Cleveland, and everybody was breakdancing, and this is when I was like 11, and we breakdanced, and that was the kind of music we breakdanced to. And then I saw the movie Breakin' and bought the soundtrack to Breakin' and heard Ice-T Reckless and got into scratching and, rapping and that kind of thing. And, the rapping came along more seriously at 15. I was going to recording studios at 15 years old.
Shit.
And, it definitely was, breakdance. But I was still breakdancing all the way up to 19. I don't know if you saw in that other interview where they showed the footage of me doing the head spin in the Cleveland Ballet. And
yeah, I did see that.
I was serious about the breakdancing.
Yeah, yeah. Which kind of blew my mind when I had learned that. I did not know you were a breakdancer like that. I will say there's always been this kind of aura of mystery, kind of surround you. I always felt like there was not too much I've ever learned, and just because, like I said, you were the guy who made me want to DJ, but yeah, that
cool.
I always wondered, what your origin was on that, because like I said earlier, I would have thought you would have come from metal. It's just one of those things that it's kind of how it seems to me, but people wouldn't think I come from metal, of course, because I'm, I don't look like it right now, but I'm brown, so they don't think I listen to that kind of thing. But it happens. But
I just listened to the radio a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
American Top 40 every week. I would listen to.
Yep.
I still listen to pop radio. Like, well, when I say pop, I don't listen to pop radio, but I check for Billboard. Now you can just do it on YouTube and listen to what is the current top 50 now, or whatever they do it. And
yeah.
I try to stay. It's a game. It's like sports to me. It's like people want to see who's. It's like if you're a basketball player, but you have no idea who won the championship last year. What are you doing? Right?
I feel you, man.
So it's kind of like it's just a game. I've always been paying attention to it. I've been a fan of music, and who had the number one song and number one album and that kind of thing since I was a little kid. I was listening to American Top 40 every weekend, and just aware of what the top 10 was and that kind of thing. Not that I liked it all.
Yeah.
It's more like, and still now, it's not like I like it all, but I do, like to listen to what's the top 50. Mm-hmm. And if I hear something that I do like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll add that to my set or something, because you need to be able to play stuff that you like, that people respond to and are familiar with and that kind of thing. And I might be like, well, this gives me hope, because if this is in the top 10 and I like it, then, and it's similar to what I do, I have a chance at making something hot one day,
Yeah, I feel you. And, that was one of the things I always kind of struggled with, was I didn't like most of it myself. But it was the thing I did want to ask you. Is there anybody that, you're listening to now that you're kind of, you're digging on in the top kind of 50 deal?
I would have to.
I mean, it's been tough musically lately. I got to admit myself, music lately on the radio is not doing great.
Yeah. Lately, I would have to look at what I put. I still have an iPod. You need to look at my iPod.
Oh, wow.
I put it in my iPod.
No shit, and it's still working for you?
Works great. Well, I have several. If it doesn't matter if they go out, I get another one. I've been on iPods since day one. That was the best thing ever when that came out. I prefer having my music not in my phone. I rather have. If my phone dies, I've still got my music. If my music dies, I've still got my phone.
Yeah. Hey,
but also, used to it, and I put stuff in there that I like. There was, hold on, let me look at my laptop.
Do what you got to do.
There's somebody that I liked that was recent. Probably need to look in my iPod though.
No problem, man. I appreciate you doing any of it. Top 40 has been suffering. I know that. You know, there's very few, or top 50. Yeah, you know, there's very few out there. One of my favorites though in the pop area is Dua Lipa. I like what she's doing.
Yeah, I like her too. I like that. What is the song? I can't think of the name of it. It's the video though. It's got like they're diving off boards, and she's all like, "Ooh, ooh, what you doing?" What's that one? Do you know that one?
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I can't think of the name either, man.
I'm not good with titles, but I know the song.
It's an illusion. I think it's Illusion, right?
I think that sounds right. Definitely. I think you're right. You know what? I could even look it up.
Funny too, though, because I was bumping it last summer, and this girl I was seeing was just like, "Why are you listening to this?" And I was just like, "It's kind of cool," or whatever. She's like, "What do you like about it?" I was like, "She's like,
shit. Yeah, I think you're right on Illusion.
You know, like, so when that, at the same time that came out, Beach Weather came out with a song called what is the song they did? High and Low Places. I like that song. I thought that was
they're called Beach Weather?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that actually, because I know it's I know my wife listens to all that kind of stuff. That's what she generally listens to. So yeah, I'm usually pretty caught up. But yeah, that's yeah. There's some all right rappers right now too. I've been on Doechii.
I think of the one guy that I liked though. It's like, you know, the rap is kind of like singy R&B now too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been checking out Dave Blunt too. You know, it's funny to me that every Kanye song, like these new ones, it's straight up Dave Blunt's. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I
guess Kanye's throwing him a bone or something too, and you know, doing a for him. So I guess he's like, is it okay if I bite your style if I give you a verse?
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't even doubt he exactly said that. That boy's been on something lately. That's for sure. He I don't know if you saw today. He's talking about what did he say? Chris hit me and Ray J up with the contract for version 2 or whatever.
I saw that.
On one right now.
Yeah, that boy is on a whole other level right now. But you know, Kanye West is he's a special case right now. But we'll move on with him.
Interesting. We'll see what happens.
I'm a little interested. It's been a while since we've had a good Hollywood meltdown, right? I can't even think of the last one.
We're overdue for one.
Wait, who was the last one? I guess it's been Britney Spears, really. You know. That's all right.
Something going on with Ray J too now. You hear about he stole Whack 100's car and he's in Florida and something. I don't know.
What?
That's news to me.
I ain't heard none of that.
Yeah, it's like something about Whack 100, who I guess was managing him or something like that. He said he stole his car and the GPS on it said he was in Florida, which means he would have drove there in 2 days, which makes people think he must be on drugs or something. I don't know.
I mean,
who knows? The comments are pretty crazy though on what they're saying about Ray J.
My thing isn't Whack affiliated? Isn't he like a Blood or something?
That's what I hear, but I'm not 100% positive on that.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be some like a Blood or some shit like that. Which you know, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm sure it's public knowledge if we look it up.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
he's the games manager. If he's the games manager, it's probably a fact.
Yeah.
And now
You're right.
Game got problems with Kanye too.
Kanye
Oh yeah, I
has
saw that
everybody.
as well.
Oh man.
I don't even know why he's mad at the game. Why is he mad at the game?
He's mad at everybody at any time, at
Yeah,
any part of the day.
Yeah,
yeah,
something about giving him Maybox too. You know what I mean? He felt slighted because he gave him 2 cars and Game didn't. I don't know, suck his dick or something. I'm not too sure, but Kanye is also
yeah.
out here wearing swastikas.
Yeah, why would you just give the game 2 Maybachs? I don't get.
Right.
I don't know. To me,
it's just payment for the easy song or whatever. Whatever that song was. Whose song was that? Was that Game song or was that Kanye's song? I don't know.
I mean, if it's Kanye, he's probably gonna claim it as his.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know how that goes.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's talking about working on Game's new album, something like that. He was helping him out, but I don't know. Something to me says Game's flow and style mixed with Kanye is like, well, I mean, Kanye is actually really good at making music. He'll hit that right style. Never mind, I'm tripping. But yeah. Anyways, Kanye West is a whole other story. I am glad we got into a little bit of craziness here, though. But I always wanted to ask, though, man. I recently kind of got into magic myself. Like, well, it started during COVID, when everybody was all locked up. So I started learning some card tricks and all that kind of stuff. I always wondered what made you decide to kind of incorporate some magic into your shows.
That was one of my questions.
Okay, so a long time ago, like before Never Is Now came out, or maybe it was at the time when Never Is Now came out, I got interviewed by Herb Magazine, and Herb Magazine in the interview or whatever, it said watching Swamp torture the 1200s is like watching a magic show. And then the record company I was signed to, they took that blurb and they were like, Herb Magazine says watching DJ Swamp torture the 1200s is like watching a magic show. And I was just kind of like, oh, damn, now I got to really live up to that shit.
If I can run with it now.
Shit. I mean, I dig it.
Yeah, so I kind of like tried to like, keep going. But I did, I eventually progressed with that. The breakthrough, though, was eventually I was living in Venice Beach and I met a magician who I hired to help me come up with some like the levitating the record and a lot of things. And he was kind of my personal assistant for like a year. And during that time, it was like it was weird because this was like 2009 or 2010, somewhere around then. And I said, I'm going to be the first DJ in the Magic Castle or something like that. And I just like, I had no idea how I'm going to do that or anything like that. And then 2014, it happened. I became the first DJ.
No shit.
Fuck yeah.
Perform in the Magic Castle at the the Palace, the Palace Theater in the Magic Castle, the main palace or whatever they call it, Magic Palace in the Magic Castle. And it was because this other magician that I had met had been using the Crystal Methods song "Name of the Game" in his magic show, and he found out that I did the scratching on that song. And then when he found out I was doing stuff, levitating records and making records disappear and all this other stuff or whatever, he asked me to be part of his Magic versus Science thing at the Magic Castle, and I did 22 shows in the Magic Castle.
God damn.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't actually know that. I had no idea that did anything in the Magic Castle. Yeah, because I obviously started to learn a lot about that kind of stuff, the Magic Castle, and the whole mystery behind it.
But also, when we did rehearsals for the Magic Castle, they put me through Magic boot camp.
Shit.
It was like before that, it was just kind of like, they turned me into a real magician with the rehearsals for that, because they had a team of magicians in like, well, what if you did this? What if you did that? all right, now do your just like they would just be like, I don't know, it was like somebody else would come in and they'll just be like, all right, just do everything and then for him, and then
Okay.
he'd like put his 2 cents in and stuff like that, and it was just I was just like living in the rehearsals for like a month, and but it was a great experience, and it definitely took me somewhere that like I mean I wish I could do it again. The shows at the Magic Castle were great, and it was a great experience. I actually thought that it was going to turn into a big Las Vegas show, and it should have, by all means. I mean, we had dancers, me doing the scratching and the magic and fire and the whole nine, and
yeah, that's a dope idea.
It was a cooler show than probably anything in Vegas as far as magic goes, and it could have been turned into something the next level. I thought, well, this is just going to be my life now, doing magic shows in Las Vegas, but it didn't. It wasn't. Somebody didn't do what they could have done with it, and make it happen.
Yeah. I mean that has Vegas show written all over it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Type shit, yeah.
And especially if they're giving some of these DJs that they're giving residencies to, dude, they're but trust me, they're bad. You probably wouldn't understand. But yeah. That has magic written all over, or Vegas written all over it, man. But now I gotta ask, since you had a lot of those guys helping you and stuff, was it you or one of them that came up with the vanishing and appearing vinyl record? I'm sure it's hard to remember.
It was there were different ways. I don't want to say how we did it, but there were different ways. Okay, so it's like I came out. I had the idea for the trick, right?
Okay.
And I did it, but then somebody said, "Well, it would be better if we did it this way." So then we made a different way, a completely different way of doing the illusion. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else said, "Oh, well, I can make it even better for you by doing it this way." And they took it to the next level. So it was 3 people, including me.
Okay,
but it evolved from not my knowledge, other people's knowledge.
Yeah.
It evolved into game.
Okay, yeah. Because that was, I remember, it was the first time I had ever saw you do magic on stage. And I do believe it was, at least. But, one of the times you did the vanishing and appearing record, and I was just fucked up. I know I was tore up. You know how it goes back in the day.
Yeah.
We were still able to get them blue dolphins and stuff back then. And man, that blew my mind so much, which is also another one of those times. The first time I saw him do magic was another one of those things where I went, you can do that? Like,
what?
Because it just, and that was always one of the reasons why you've been one of my favorites, one of my, the guys that when people are like, oh, wait, what do you listen to? Oh, you like the DJ stuff? What DJ should I listen to? And I lead them right to your shit. There's a bunch of guys crazy and all that, but like, there's always been these, I guess, aha moments when you get on stage and you do the things that you do. And I will say, I do believe that stems from, of course, your deep knowledge of just music in general. Because I don't think I know anybody personally, at least, that knows as much about any of the music they know, do, or perform, you know what I mean, as much as you do. And you even have origin stories with some of these legends, which is Crazy Bone, right?
All the Bone.
All
Layzie Bone. I was in a group with Layzie Bone when I was when I was real young. I was he was real young. I was 20. He was probably 17, maybe 16. There was a rapper in Cleveland named K Chill, and he was the hot rapper in Cleveland. He had a hit called "Boom Boom's in My Trunk," and he was the hot rapper in Cleveland. And I had won the Rap Fest '92. I was the DJ champion, but I was actually his DJ before that, just because it was weird. I had a manager who had me doing stuff for this other group, of like, they were like 12 or 13-year-old kid rappers that they had me DJing for and writing their lyrics and producing their beats and everything. And that was a funny story because it just we went to seminar. It was the IROC convention in Norfolk, Virginia, and we rocked it. Like everybody was just like these two, 12-year-old black kids just killed it, and I was their DJ and whatever and stuff like that. But Jermaine Dupri was there and he saw us kill it, and then he came out with Crisscross.
Yep, there they went. Yep.
Holy shit!
Happened.
Fucking
It was
Mac
so
Daddy
crazy,
and Daddy Mac.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we were just like, yeah, that was weird. But anyways, the manager that I had for that project, somehow like the K Chill's manager became my manager and manager of the other project and stuff like that. And then, also K Chill had went with us to there, and that's how I became friends with him. He was already like famous in Cleveland, but I became friends with him because my manager and his manager took us all to that convention in Norfolk, Virginia, the IROC convention in 1991. And anyways, after that, I became K Chill's DJ, and I was going to this studio called Brainbow on Euclid Avenue in East Cleveland, Ohio, and Layzie Bone was K Chill's hype man, and we did shows together where we opened for the Ghetto Boys and Real Roxanne, X Clan, and Chub Rock, and Layzie Bone was our hype man. It was like the group. It was a group. It was three of us. I was the DJ. He was the hype man. And K Chill was the rapper. And they would take us to do shows together. And I really didn't like. I don't know. There was this one time we did a show with the Real Roxanne, and Layzie Bone had snuck in a bottle of wild Irish Rose and got drunk. He jumped up on stage and started dancing with the Real Roxanne,
Shit.
He was like, he was all on stage like dancing with her and stuff, and K Chill and him got into it. Like he was so mad at him, and they just like left him, and he came up to me. He was like, "They left me, man. I need a ride home," and so I gave him a ride home, and that was the first time he rapped for me. Because before that, I just thought he was a hype man. I didn't really know he could rap.
Yeah.
And but then I was just like, oh wow, he's actually really good. I should do something with him. But I always thought that name. I was like Layzie Bone. I thought that name was so whack. Like I didn't like the name. I was just like,
I got to agree.
I was turned off.
Yeah, I got to agree.
Yeah, it just didn't. I didn't want to have to tell him you got to change your name or something, And then, but when we were recording K Chill's second album, they would all be there. They were they would be at Rainbow Studios as well. They were all working on Faces of Death at the same time. And that's when I was like, I met Crazy Bone and Busy Bone and Flesh. No, not Flesh. Flesh wasn't in the group. I never met Flesh and Bone. And not back in the day. I met him later. Yeah. After Bone Thugs was a thing, but they were Bone Enterprise at the time. Oh. And the fact that it was like they were like, I'm Crazy Bone, I'm Layzie Bone, I'm Wishbone, I'm Busy Bone. I was just like
what? Hey, what's this?
It was so cringe to me.
Yeah.
And and they talk about how like Faces of Death just blew up on the scene. It wasn't a successful record locally like K Chill was. It was the same label, Stony Burke Records, and the same person who owned that label, Kermit Henderson.
Yeah.
Who actually he went on to other success too. I mean, his biggest success though is probably owning the Faces of Death record by Bone now, because after Bone became Bone Thugs and Harmony and went 10 times platinum with East 99 Eternal and stuff like that, he probably sold a couple million Faces of Death copies, you know, and
Sure.
and he kept all that money too. You know, Bone didn't
Oh.
get any of that money. He kept it all.
Damn.
He I don't even think K Chill it says K Chill executive producer on that record. K Chill didn't get none of the money. Nobody got any money. Kermit kept it all, I guess. But in
Damn.
Kermit's defense, I asked him, you know, I asked him early on too. Like, you know, this was way back in the '90s. I was just like, do you have to pay them, or did they make a lot of money off it, or something like that? And he said that, well, they're signed to my label. I have a contract. They were all signed to my label, and when they signed to Ruthless Records with Eazy-E, that was a complete breach of contract.
Oh.
I could have stopped that entire thing. I could have stopped their entire, you know, thing getting signed to Ruthless and
That's
you know,
crazy.
shut it down. But I didn't. So, you know, you know, I let them go and do that. But they're not getting a dime from my record because that was a breach of contract. They want to come sue me, I'll sue them, and we'll see what really happens.
Damn.
Yeah. Damn. I mean,
Damn, that's crazy.
yeah, you know.
Yeah. But he also went on to she's not from Cleveland, but he had something to do with the record. He independently put out the My Neck, My Back, Lick My Pussy, and My Crack.
No shit. Yeah.
That's Henderson's you know, whatever, you know, machine as well.
No shit.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did not know that. I
But
did.
he owns a record store that I buy all my records from. That's how I was friends with him. I knew Kermit for years before even. I mean, he did start a label. He's actually had a few labels. You know, he had a record label called Jam It back in the day. That was Johnny O and the Sorcerer Crew. That was one of the first rap records to ever come out of Cleveland. But then he started Stony Burke with, I guess, with somebody named Diego Black. We thought it was Diego Black's label, but I guess it wasn't. You know, It was Kermit. I think he got played as well. Like, but whatever, you know, Kermit was like Suge Knight of Cleveland.
Oh shit! Goddamn.
No shit. The Suge Knight of Cleveland.
I mean, I don't say that disrespectfully. I like Kermit. Kermit's my boy.
Yeah.
I hung out with him, Jack the Rapper, in 1993, and I bought records from him. And yeah, you know, he was there when we did the Ghetto Boys shows and everything. He was basically K Chill's. He wasn't his manager because Marlon was his manager, but he was the record company owner. He owned the record company, you know, and he wasn't no joke. He was a sergeant in the army. He was a sergeant in the army, and then he started a record He started a record store called Dolls Rapid Creation. That was it was probably the biggest record store in Cleveland. If you look at some, like, there's old pictures of me with Queen Latifah when I was a teenager, and with Too Short when I was a teenager. Those pictures are taken in Dolls Rapid Creation record store.
No shit. I know, because I know exactly those pictures you're talking about, because I know you do be posting them and stuff. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had no idea that was a record store.
That's fire.
It just, based on the name, it didn't really seem like a record store, I guess. But yeah, that's crazy.
And it's like the logo was like a doll, and then Rapid, like the train. We had, instead of subways in Cleveland, we had Rapid Transit. And then Creation was like, I don't know, it was like a reel or something. But I found out years later Doll was Kermit's mother's name, and it was across the street from the Rapid station. And Creation, he would make, also in the store, they would make T-shirts. Maybe it didn't start out as a record store. It might have started out as come get your custom made T-shirt, or get iron-on letters put on the back of your jacket in the 80s or something like that, you know. But it did become known as a record store. You know, it was definitely where the independent hip-hop would be. And he had all kinds of, like, awards for being the biggest seller of certain hip-hop records, and, you know, helping push people's records in the 80s and that kind of thing, all over there, you know.
Yeah.
He was a major force in Cleveland hip hop.
You know, there's so much history with Cleveland and music, especially for me as a fan of a lot of the people from Cleveland who do music. I highly doubt it's ever a thing that'll come up, but I mean, being from Cleveland, you know who Mushroom Head is, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I I don't know if you know their, or if you're a fan of their music or anything like that, but like, would if they were willing, would you work with Mushroom Head? Because
Sure.
that would be like the top thing in the world for me. Because they used to have a DJ in there. They used to have a samplist too. You know what I mean, doing that kind of stuff, kind of like Sid and stuff from Slipknot. But they started before Slipknot kind of deal. Because there's a lot of history that comes out of Cleveland with music. I mean, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, obviously, and all that kind of fun stuff. It's crazy that I didn't know that you were kind of central to a lot of these kind of big moments in a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? It seems like you were smack dab in the middle of all of what was kind of growing in that time. And I mean, is it something that you felt like you were helping, or are you just kind of
there
doing your thing?
It was kind of weird that like it seemed like all in 1995 at the same time it was like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened, Bone Thugs blew up, 9 Inch Nails blew up, and I blew up.
Okay.
Yeah. It was I don't know of any time where like in Cleveland just that I don't know why it happened, but it just all happened at the same time like that. It's just it was like I went to New York at the end of '95, and then beginning of '96 I was the USA champion, and on with Beck. 9 Inch Nails had just blown up. They were from Cleveland. Bone Thugs had blown up. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened, and Cleveland was just on fire at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I
don't feel like it was like that ever again. Like all in, I don't know. It was just a. I don't know. That's just how I personally felt.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What was the question again?
Well, no, I was just saying, like, you were just smack dab in it. It was just saying, like, you feel like it was something you helped built up. But I get what you're saying. It was kind of right place, right time kind of deal, yeah?
I guess. It wasn't really the place. I mean, I had to go to New York to enter the DMC and then qualify, and then went to San Francisco and won the DMC, and then, 9 Inch Nails had left Cleveland, but were definitely like from Cleveland. Also, Bone left Cleveland. They went to LA with EPE.
Yep.
I mean, you do got to go where you can get some industry going. You know what I mean? I get it. I just, there's always those times, those special times in a certain place. Like, I feel like Denver was like that for a while for a lot of the more EDM style of DJing. Just before dubstep kind of became a thing, and a little bit after that, there was a real special thing about going to raves here in Denver, and a lot of DJs wanted to be there. And I do kind of help, or I say Denver help kind of push EDM and all that kind of stuff to the top level, because a lot of the guys out here bring out real big names and stuff, which not anymore. Well, they do, but just not the names I care about. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I feel like Denver at a certain time, to kind of compare it to the question that I asked you, for me, it was one of those things that I feel like I kind of helped make it what it was in Colorado. When I started with it, when you were doing your thing, making me inspired, all the kids in my school they didn't know what a rave was even, you know what I mean?
True.
They wouldn't have known what the DMCs were. Is that a fucking pill? You know what I mean? They wouldn't have known what the hell I was talking about. And that's all I was really saying. It's like, of course, I wasn't throwing shows or, bringing in the big guys, but I was one of those people that started pushing the sound. I wanted to show people the people that I like, the DJs that I was into. And, it actually started a lot of people. I actually taught a lot of people how to spin records because of exactly doing that. You know what I mean? But one of those things that a lot of people ask me is to teach them how to scratch, which I'm not great. I did see this new, not crossfader, but mixer.
That.
I don't know if you've seen it, but you touch it. It's like a contact deal instead of a knob. It's pretty wild. I want to kind of try that. But
what's it called? Do you know what it's called?
I can pull it up right now. Hold on. It's like
yeah. I want to find out.
Yeah, it's like ADC. It's a French company of some sort. But yeah, I got it right here.
Do you have to hook it up to the computer, or can you use it externally, like with vinyl? Or
I saw a guy playing vinyl. Playing vinyl. Yeah, it was like
it was actual like audio coming from a record.
Yeah, that's what, you know what I mean? It was one, real stylized video, of course, but he was playing actual vinyl, and it was a touch. I'll send you the link right here in just a second, you know what I mean? But yeah,
cool.
it was I never seen anything like that, but that also kind of brings me to I know the green room, I think was the name of the people, they didn't understand the whole skipless record, or what was he calling it? The scratchless record is what he kept calling it. But how did you?
He said scratch proof. A lot of people say that too, and I'm like, that's my default response is it would be pointless if they were scratch proof.
Right? Yeah. How did you come up with that idea? Because it's such a good idea. It helped me so much when I was learning how to do any type of mixing.
Well, when I was 17, there were these Simon Harris records, and they had a bunch of beats on them. There'd be like 10 beats, and then there would be a section for scratch samples, but they weren't skip proof. They were just there'd be like maybe 50 to 100 different sounds, Okay. But there was at one point or whatever, it did the ah, and then it did the ah 3 times in a row, but it didn't line up. It was like it was completely not in sync at all. But it was 3 ahs in a row. But I was just like, what if he had just made it so that, like, if it skipped, it was on another ah? And I was like, they need to come out with a record like that. And this was in 1989. And it wasn't until 1986 when I had some money from being Beck's DJ and stuff like that I was like, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a skip-proof record. So I came out with this one, the Skip-Proof Scratch Tool Volume 1. And the first few tries, because I didn't have a computer or anything to do it with. I did it all with the MPC. And, the first time it was a disaster. Second time it was when this one came out, it was just kind of like, well, it's not perfect, but it 100% works. And I put it out, and a lot of people just didn't get it. A lot of people didn't get it. And, it really wasn't until other people bit my idea that then it became cool. And then, I came out with more volumes and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't know that I was the first years before. And even before I did it, I had the idea 7 years before I came out with it.
Yeah.
But it was, it was just one of those things, and I'm not saying if I had never done it, somebody else wouldn't eventually have thought of it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I was the first. I was fortunately enough to beat everybody.
Yeah. My other question on that, though, is I know you've seen those records that have the waveform just on the vinyl itself. Is that something? Yeah. Would you have done that if you would have thought of that? Because for those records specifically, it does seem like a pretty damn good idea.
Because that seems to me it's kind of like a analog Serato, and not that Serato is bad or anything, but I just don't use it. I'm vinyl and CDJs and stuff. I mean, I have used Serato and that kind of thing, but am I looking at waveforms and scratching and stuff like that? I probably would not have thought of it. But I was supposed to come out like they were ready to pay homage to me, the Mile High DJ and stuff like that. They were all about giving me credit for like having, started that, and they were going to, include me in the next volume just because, they know they took my idea and took it to the next level.
Mhm.
And I made the whole record ready to go, and for whatever reason they just didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh man, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, because I have, man, a good amount of your records. I even hold on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I even made sure I had to borrow the money to buy the record that had all of the signatures from your label mates. Like this was, all your records. I've got every single one of them. I'm pretty sure. In which actually your record,
Really?
one of your scratch tool records is the first time I actually.
You got the lenticulars.
Oh no,
that's dope as hell.
I
What
don't.
The fuck?
Yup.
Holy shit.
Damn, I just got called out. Yeah. Oh, I know exactly, bro. Yep. Those, I forgot about those. Ah, man, I don't have one. Damn it.
Those
He
are
called me out,
nasty,
bro.
dude. At least he called you out and it wasn't no random.
See it moving?
Oh, man. Yep. I love it, dude. I love it. Yeah.
Or, go to djswamp.com. But you DM me. I got all kinds of. Can I do a little vinyl flex?
Oh, yeah, of course, man. Please.
Flex away,
This is
sir.
one of my records, Never Ending Breakbeats Volume 1. The ring light's messing up the thing, but you could kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's Breakbeats Volume 1. When this came out, Hubert said it was the breakbeat record of the year.
Hey, Hubert knows what he's talking.
Their album, Vinyl Disciple.
I got that.
You got that one?
I got that one. Yep.
That's baby. That's when I had money and I went to all the best recording studios in LA. No recording at home for that record. That was all. That was where Dr. Dre and Tupac and everybody was recording records. Paramount, American Records, all the biggest studios, Sonora, everything. Like all the biggest studios in LA. Their prices had came down a lot in the early 2000s, and for whatever reason, I had hookups with people and stuff, and I just went all out. It's just like I'm recording on SSL boards and biggest studios, $1 million studios, stuff like that. Didn't really pay off because I don't think it's as popular as Never Is Now, the one I did at home.
I mean,
it gave me the satisfaction that if I'd have did Never Is Now in the big studio, it would have gone platinum. But then I did everything in the big studio, and I felt like it was a better record, but people didn't gravitate to it like they did Worship the Robots and Ring of Fire.
I mean, that was our whole motif. This promoting this, we kept telling people we were going to worship the robots tonight.
Get Proof Scratch Tool Volume 1. I showed you that one. Instruments of Torture. This is the record I did. I did it all in a weekend with Jack Dangers of Meat Beat Manifesto.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, this is the record. I did it all in Jack Dangers' studio in San Francisco, and it was because I did a remix for Storm the Studio. For whatever reason, I don't know why, I got asked to do a remix for Jack Dangers' Storm the Studio, and I didn't even think twice. Of course, I'll do that. You know? And I just knocked it out and killed it and sent it back, and they were like, Jack loves your mix. So I'm like, great. So am I going to get paid or what? Like, and they were like, so we'll get back to you on that. So I was just kind of like, okay. And then they got back to me and they were like, Jack says he'll do a mix for you. And I was just like, oh, what am I going to get Jack Dangers to mix for me? And then I was just kind of like, well, I have a show in San Francisco. I'm going to come up there. Can he mix down like some song for me that I had? And they were like, yeah, he said that's cool. Or it was like mixing down two songs or something. I forget exactly what happened, but anyways, I went there, and then when I got there, I had my Pro Tools files, and he was like, oh, I don't have Pro Tools. And I was like, what? No, I only use Live. And I was like, oh man, what? what are we gonna do? I don't have like, you know, he was just like, yeah, I only have Logic, and I was like, you can't make Pro Tools like whatever, you know, and he was just like, no, and then I don't know, he had like somehow like I don't know, he had this keyboard, a VP 330 that I wanted to buy, like a vocoder. And it was something like we worked out the deal, like I'm gonna buy the vocoder, you owe me 2 mixes, this and that. We're just gonna do a whole EP from start to finish in the next like 3 days or whatever, and that's what this is. Nice. It's torture.
Shit.
And yeah,
that's crazy.
And it was good. It bumped, and then I had Simon from the Exchange in London master it, so it just sounds authentic and old school, like drum and bass, like it thumps. Like there's still people to this day that are just like instruments of torture. Like it just rattles the whole house. Like it cracks me up that, you know, people because I just did it on a whim, you know.
Yeah, I love that album.
Didn't plan on doing. It was just like I was in a situation where I was kind of forced. I had to do something, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I love it, man. That's a great album.
OG Ghetto Waxcraft.
Yep.
Came out in 1997. The OG, the first creepy scratch tool. Maybe the only creepy. No, there's probably been some others, but yeah, that's some OG, you know, stuff that like people now would be like, you know, the norm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Drum and Bass Loops Volume 2, over 200 lock groove beats, drum and bass. I don't know if it was Volume 1 or Volume 2. I don't know if you remember there was a magazine called Knowledge Drum and Bass that was it was like the source magazine of drum and bass out of London. And I'm the only artist in history, the only American U.S. artist in history to get a 5 out of 5.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Drum and Bass Loops Volume 1. They might have gave a 5 out of 5 to Volume 2 as well, but they thought the record was genius, and they did a whole write-up on me. They even had me play the Knowledge Drum and Bass Awards, where like Goldie was there and Ronnie Size and all these Craze was there, all these legends. It was crazy, you know. That was in 2003, I think, or something like that. But yeah, I got to be at some of the old school drum and bass at the Blue Note, the original Metalheads Club. I had got to be there. Like I went there with Beck and Bjork back in the day.
Oh wow!
Bjork, I think, out with Goldie at the time, and yeah, then you know a couple years later, I played the Knowledge Magazine Drum and Bass Awards. So yeah, I got to do some you know rub elbows with some sacred legends in drum and bass back in the day, and then just because I figured I'd better do a lock groove record like with the house and the electro beats and stuff like that before somebody else did it. I went ahead and did the Infinite House Loops.
Fuck.
Just double vinyl as well. I've got all these for sale still. If anybody wants to hit me up and buy them,
I'm gonna have to.
Well, you're probably going to have to.
But this one actually is just like, man, when I listen to it now, it's like I really just did it on a whim. But it bumps. It's like it's a good record. It's a lot of beats on it. Like it makes me just kind of like, you know. I mean, I probably did it in '99 or something like that. But when I listen, I'm just like, I made that beat.
That was at the oh my god, sorry, that phone call totally just threw me off. That right there, that album was at my local independent records. That's what it's called here. Is our local record store. Pretty much every record, independent records, yeah. Well,
it's still open?
No, they just closed down last year, actually. Yeah, unfortunately.
I liked that store. That store was cool.
Yeah, they were great. And that house record that you just pulled out, I remember it being there. And at the time, I didn't have the money on me. Went home to grab money. You know, I borrowed it. I borrowed money again to buy one of your records because I make sure I get them shits.
That's real.
And come back, somebody picked that shit up. I was so mad, man. I was so fucking mad. Yeah, that totally just brought up a whole memory in my head. But
core memory.
Yeah, unfortunately, independent records did close down right now.
This is a Stack Styles record.
Hell yeah.
All over this album. this is the guy who I DJ for now. I do shows DJing for him.
Yeah.
He's like a superhuman rapper. Like, he might be the fastest rapper on the planet. Like, I mean, he's, faster than Eminem, faster than Tongue Twister. I mean, I think personally he's faster than anybody I've ever heard. He's superhuman. It's like that guy back in the day, Motor Mouth or whatever. It's crazy. I mean, he doesn't always rap fast. He kind of turns it on. He switches the styles up, but he's definitely a good performer. And I'm on most of this album, Live Your Best Life. I also did Talkbox on the title track, Live Your Best Life. And you can, there's music video for it. I'm doing the Talkbox in the music video too.
Oh yeah.
So that's more recently something that I'm proud of. This is Never Ending Breakbeats Volume 4. This is probably the best of them all, but it's also like the lowest selling of them all. Like, I stopped the series after this one, but it's probably the best one. And also, one thing about the beats, they're all in sync with each other. So, it's a lock groove, so the beats keep playing forever.
Oh, wow.
And like Volume 1, the next one, it's like they're not synced, Actually, when I came out with Volume 1, I was working for the Dust Brothers at the time, who produced Beck and Paul's Boutique for the Beastie Boys and Wild Thing for Tone Loc and Bust a Move for Young MC and Bop for Hanson. They were who bought me my first Pro Tools rig and basically like taught me how to produce and that kind of thing. That was early on when I was still DJing for Beck. And they had Mario C. Who engineered and produced for the Beastie Boys. He was over there, and I showed him my record. I was so proud of it. I just came out with it, and he was just like, "Why aren't all the beats in sync with each other?" And I was like, "Because that's impossible." And he was like, "It's not impossible. You just haven't figured out how to do it." And he was right. It was possible.
Hell yeah!
We figured out how on Never Ending Breakbeats Volume 4. It's a good one.
Shit.
And also, this is Never Ending Breakbeats Volume 3. I don't know. I don't think this one's in sync either. It might be in sync. I think the Volume 4 is the only one that's in sync, but this is a good one too. The artwork is really good.
Yeah,
My boy Stain, he did the artwork on this one. I think this was the last one he did the artwork for me on. He did a lot of my early ones.
It's got a real Iron Maiden vibe.
Yeah. Skip Proof Scratch Tool Volume 2, Skip Proof Scratch Tool Volume 3. I also have Volume 4 and Volume 5, but they've been out of print for a while. I keep wanting to get some more printed, but they're slow sellers. They were the fifth one especially was a slow seller, and I just kind of stopped or whatever. But I have a Volume 6 that I want to come out with that I made, but I just never dropped it or whatever, and I still want to keep coming out with the series, but, vinyls, everybody's gone Serato and stuff like that now. So, they used to sell a lot. Now it's like, do I really want to like be stuck with like 2,000 records for the next 10 years?
I feel you. Yeah. Shout out to our homies, the Lost Art, that helping us. Those, I've always wanted one of those slip mats, dude. Those are your slip mats, right?
Yeah, these are slip mats. I've got these for sale. They were originally made by Sick Mats. At one time, they were the biggest. Sick Mats was the biggest slip mat company in the world.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, they fell off. And then I went ahead and got some made myself from Glowtronics, and they were glow in the dark, and everybody loved those because forever, like, people would say, "Do they glow in the dark?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Well, they should." And then I got the glow in the dark ones, and everybody loved them. And I had the glow in the dark ones for a while, but then all of a sudden, Glowtronics said we don't do glow in the dark anymore. So now I'm back to like the non glow in the dark ones.
Yeah.
But
still dope nonetheless.
Yep, I love those. I remember those for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the latest and greatest, like, this was my pandemic project, was it took like 50 emails to China to make that lenticular hologram cover happen.
Yeah, that shit is so dope.
Yeah. And also, I'm very proud of the actual. This is kind of like Skip Proof. This is skip proof as well. There are skip proof things on it. It says, but what I did was I cracked the code on the effect where it sounds exactly like I was in the studio with Fab Five Freddy when they did, this stuff is really fresh.
Yeah.
But I made a say, yes, but it's super authentic, I tried to do something like that like 20 years ago on Scratch Wax. I came out with the alphabet, where I said the whole alphabet and some other things through, like I was trying to create the effect.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't quite there, but I thought it was good enough. It really wasn't. Mm-hmm. But during the pandemic, I was able to perfect it, like really authentically get that sound, and maybe even better. But I made yes, and I am the best. But it sounds like fresh. It's that effect, and fuck off, bitch. But it sounds like. And also, there's an infinite tone on there that's just. It's just like the best infinite tone. Other people had done it before, where they took the fresh and the and they time stretched it, and but it had this like looping like
yeah.
This is the cleanest, clearest like infinite tone ever made. It's just I use it at every one of my shows now. I really did make it for me to use, but it's out there for everybody to buy.
I think one of the cleanest continuous sounds I had was I think it was DJ Rectangle scratch record, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he had a pretty solid one on one of his. One? Was it which one?
Was it the white one?
Yeah, the 1200s or something like that, right? Isn't that what it's called? I think that was...
Yep. It's definitely. I was definitely trying to take that to the next level.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and this kind of actually brings up a really kind of probably stupid and random question, but I think a lot of turntablists have their favorite kind of sound effect. Which one is your favorite?
That is a good question.
See, there's a lot of sounds. Like I'm a big fan of fresh, the old fresh. I love it. I was always a fan of that kind of sound, but I'm always a big fan of movie like news excerpts.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that Paul Revere.
Okay, yeah.
But I would like to know where that came from. Actually, I don't even know, but I think that you had it was on before Paul Revere. It was on Tila Rock, maybe on It's Yours. And maybe even before that, on Reckless by Ice-T. I'm not even sure where it came from. I don't know, but I don't even know where I got it. I got it from a scratch tool or something like that. I didn't get it from Paul Revere because it would have been covered with backwards hi-hats.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Paul Revere.
Yeah, but I like that sound. And I mean the infinite really now the one that I made.
Yeah. And I mean I know you used to do I'm sure you still do it a lot with the needle drop on the beats. That was always one of my favorite things.
On the beat. Oh yeah, the beat. Yeah.
Yeah, that was always one of my favorite things that you did, which I still do not understand how you do that. I think I'm just too shaky of a person though, you know what I mean?
It'd be like that. Yeah.
I get a little shaky when I do things like that, but
I get a lot of sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you see me in the DMC world when I wasn't quite able to pull it off because my hands were all shaky. I had never been out of the country. I had never been overseas before in my life, and that whole jet lag and not being able to go to sleep for 2 days.
That fucks up your whole shit.
For my life, and I think just not having enough sleep just made me like extra shaky battle hands that day.
Yeah.
And if I had it again, I would go someplace a week before, and I would get so much sleep, even if I had to. I mean, probably even take sleeping pills or something like that, or whatever, just to make sure that I was sleeping. And I think if I'd have been more, I don't know, not just whatever, just more rested, I'd be,
Yeah, I feel you. And I mean, that first DMC, you're young. The first what is it, 90?
I felt old because, other people before that, like Aladdin won when he was like 17 or 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
And, Rock Raider won when he was probably 20 or 21 or something like that. So I was 24. I felt like an old man. I was 24.
Hilarious, bro.
Honestly, I think at 24, I was the oldest DMC champion in history.
Shit, really? I mean,
anyway, I can't think of anybody who was older than 24 before me.
No, Cash Money just looked like he was older than 24. Really?
No, I think I'm sure he was not 24. He was young, I bet.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Yeah, I think he looked like he was older than that as well. But no, and that's. Yeah. I mean, I guess I never really thought about that. Because I know you weren't exactly 16 or anything, but.
Yeah.
You weren't. I mean, I wouldn't say you were old or by any means at that time.
Well, thank God it happened. It happened by then, because when I was 25, on tour with Beck that whole year in 1997, and being on the Grammy Awards and Saturday Night Live and Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien and tour in Europe and that kind of thing. I'm like 25 years old. I'm like, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in life.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I ever felt that way. That one year in 97, I would not have wanted to trade who I was with anybody. I felt like I was the USA champion and I was DJing for the biggest white rapper at the time because, like Beastie Boys had gone all rock and Sabotage and House of Pain had broke up, Third Base had broke up.
Yep.
Beck was it.
Yeah.
At that time, whether or not he wants to admit he was a rapper, he was a rapper. Loser is a rap. Where is that? I got two turntables and a microphone.
Yep.
That's the rap song. You got the Beastie Boys producers producing you. You are a rapper.
Yeah.
And people are hyped for you because hip hop is hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and he killed it in that whole sense of not thinking he's rapping.
That year, we killed it.
Yeah.
We really killed it that year when he decided to venture off into. No, it's not really about hip hop. I'm not really a rapper and that kind of thing. It's like that attitude is what made us nosedive.
Yeah, and I mean,
he didn't take it serious as much as I took it serious anyway. He'll be like, I took it serious. No, you didn't take it as serious as I took it serious. And if you did take it serious, we could have been 5 times platinum on the next record like the Beastie Boys when they came out with Intergalactic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you don't think it was kind of one of those things I feel like Beck does is make a little bit of a weird turn to kind of be artistic about whatever it is he's doing next, or is just, straight up differences?
Exactly. But it didn't pay off.
Yeah.
I don't think it paid off.
I mean, no, because after that year, it was 2020 or something like that. He got the next Grammy or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember what.
2020, 2015. He won the Grammy for the album of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think anybody. I don't know.
I didn't even know.
I didn't even know it was a thing. It's probably like granny politics.
It's not like it was Odelay. It's not like it was Loser.
Yeah. I would agree. Loser and that kind of stuff back then was a huge deal. Even as a kid being young back then for us, we're not very old. You're rocking stuff in '89, and I was being born in '88. But
it's like the kind of album that the Grammys would pick, because when Odelay was up for the Grammy for the album of the year, I don't know. I think they picked I forget who won, but I want to say it was Steely Dan or something like that, and it was a record that wasn't popular, and it was, whatever. Maybe it was considered arty or something like that. For whatever reason, the Grammy Academy or whatever it's called chose that. They chose it, and I kind of thought I understand the game, That's why Andre 3000's flute album is going to win this year. I kept telling everybody Andre 3000's flute album is going to win this year. Watch, it's going to be just like Beck's Morning Phase. It's going to win, and everybody's just going to be like stunned that was the album that won. But it didn't happen. They gave it to Cowboy Carter.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people are hating on that Three Stacks album, you know, the whole flute thing. And I mean, I don't hate on it. I thought it was odd for him, but, you know.
Interesting term, but it is what it is.
Hey, man, guy wants to play the flute. He can play the flute. You know what I mean? I'll let him do his thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I would have agreed with you, too.
Well, I was just fascinated by the whole thing that just hadn't came out with anything in so long. I mean, he finally comes out with something.
Yeah,
it's a flute.
Flute.
And everybody's just like freaking out. But then he starts going and doing shows, and he gets booked for all the jazz festivals. And there's people coming out in record numbers at the jazz festivals. And he's playing the Newport Jazz Festival and the Rhode Island and the Montreal Jazz Festival. And people are coming out in record numbers to see Andre 3000 play the flute.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? And then when his album was nominated for the Grammys, I was just like, he's going to win the Grammy. Watch. This is just like the Grammys, to give the Grammy to something like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have been the craziest thing in the world because he already won the Grammy for the album of the year with Speaker Box and The Love Below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would have agreed with you. If you would have told me, yeah, he's nominated for the Grammy, I would have been like, yeah, he's going to get it because it is exactly that. You know, there's
contemporary albums, bro.
Yeah, there's a formula to getting those awards and, you know, the praise, I do believe. But I think Three Stacks has always been an interesting character, and I think it's just another one of those interesting characteristics that he has, which makes me happy. But, you know,
yeah,
because I think there's an opportunity for someone like Swamp to do something with that shit, because it's one of those things I think you can fuck with somehow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. His flute music. It is a little weird to say that, I gotta be honest. Shit. Yeah, man.
It would be cool.
I mean,
you know, I opened for Outkast once.
Oh,
it was
really?
A big show. It was Audiotistic 2002. It was when it was before Speaker Box and Love Below. It was during Stankonia album. And that was huge. That was like 60,000 people or something like that. If you look at my video for Demons in the Suburbs, there's a short little clip where I'm like dressed as a priest with like I think a squirt gun, like a super soaker hitting the crowd of like 60,000 or whatever. That was from that show opening for opening for Outkast. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that music video very well as well. Actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's crazy. I didn't know that was for an Outkast show, though. Of course, you know, but
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because you've rubbed elbows with some of the craziest people out there, like I've said before already. Mm-hmm. But I got to ask, you know, I know we've been doing this for a while. I don't want to take up your whole night and everything, but who's your not who's your favorite, but who's kind of the turntablist you're most interested in right now that's kind of working, you know? We got plenty of greats out there, Qbert and all that crazy is still doing things, but there are some really good cats out there, like, you know, Scratch Bastard. He's been around, of course, for a while. I think he's really killing it right now. Was it DJ Rena? I don't know how you say it. He's a Japanese guy. But,
okay, so, yeah, Rena is, so, you know, when he won, and I was just kind of like, not the 12-year-old again, because you know, usually when it's like, you know, the kids win, it's like I always feel like they didn't deserve it. It's just because they were kids that the crowd just gave them extra credit or something, you know, and that kind of thing. And I'm guilty of feeling that way when you know, he won. But then I got chose to be part of the Philharmonic, the Techniques Philharmonic Turntable Orchestra in 2018. They flew me to Japan, and this was right after he won too. And he was part of it as well. Qbert was there.
Yep.
And there's something special. For 12 years, he was 12 or he was 13, something like. He was still insanely young.
Yeah.
and he was. I have video of it too. His fingers were like, it was like his fingers were doing sign language or something, like, you know, like, and I was like, wait a minute. I had my camera and I was like, do that again. And he would do it in slow motion and like whatever. I was just like, what? Like, you know, it really freaked me out. Like, and then I was just like, I kind of became fascinated by him. Like, what? Did your dad DJ or something like that? And it was, no, none of his parents weren't DJs or nothing like, I don't know how that happened, that he became so good, so young, so fast.
Yeah.
But, that was, you know, he's definitely good. And, I don't know, you know, like what you call that, but yeah, he's definitely good. That I was definitely impressed. And after that, you know,
Yeah.
and, I went to see him, you know, I went to see him perform a couple times and, yeah, I had to give it up a couple times.
Yeah,
you know?
right? You're like, you know,
I
you
mean,
got what it takes. I like that.
he is smooth with it. I do like his stuff a lot. And another one that I'm real fond of, he kind of works with another guy. I think that's their name. I'm not too sure, but do believe they're French dudes. Fong Fong. I like his style and shit a lot. It's real.
Is that they used to be Birdie Nam Nam, and then became that, or is that a different group, or is that? And before that, they were the Crazy Bee and stuff like that from France.
Yeah, they had another name before Fong Fong, and I don't remember what it is right now. Because they did change Fong Fong, you know what I mean? Because I remember, you know, I'm seeing a DJ Fong Fong, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this is. Why am I subscribed to their shit? You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't remember what was it, like C2B or something like that, or?
Yeah, that was okay. So yeah, I know who those were. I think he might have competed in the World DMC against me, Crazy B. I definitely remember meeting him. I think he was in the battle though that year. Yeah,
it makes sense because they are
they
older.
Were good. They you know what but even before C2C or whatever they were called, they were Alliance Ethnic. And if you look at some of the old DMC team battles, they performed as Alliance Ethnic.
Okay,
and
yeah.
It was, those were good. Those were good. That was like they competed against like Hubert and Mixmaster Mike and Apollo, like those days, like against the Dream Team. Like the first years of team battles, like maybe the first year and the second year. I think they were both. They probably came second.
Okay, yeah.
Second or third.
That all sounds very familiar to what I'm thinking of too, because I remember them doing team battles and shit. They are, you know, at that age where they would have been at the beginning of the team battles and everything too. But yeah, I always like what they do on there, especially with their, you know, kind of execution or style of switching off on the record, or, you know, they go back and forth on two different turntables. I always love their videos. They put a lot of work into their, you know, reels and that kind of shit, which is always something I appreciate. But another guy that you know, I respected him when he won it in, I think it was 15, DJ Fly. I think it was 15. He won the DMC, and then he just won it, you know, last year or whatever it was. I've always loved that guy's kind of style.
Right on.
Yeah, he's got a great style, but, you know, those are all fairly new, but not necessarily new kind of guys going on here. But I always, you know, like I said earlier, you always have like an aura of mystery, so I had to ask you about who you're digging on, you know?
I think most of my influence is pretty old school, and I'm aware of everybody, you know, new doing something and stuff like that, but I'm definitely more blown away by the old stuff. I think that you know, trying to think though if there's anybody. I mean, even the new, if they are new, they're probably kind of old school too. Even if I said somebody new that I consider new. To be honest, you never even know who it is though when you hear it. Though they don't have, you can't, they don't tell you who's scratching anymore on songs. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard to find out. It used to just buy the record and of course they said who did the scratching. You know, and now it doesn't. The Wikipedia it doesn't say it. doesn't say it anywhere. They don't say the people's names, nothing. So you're kind of like, you don't even know who to give props to.
I feel you on that one, man. It's the DJ's been pushed to the back mostly, of course, and well, in terms of like what mainstream hip hop is anymore. But I think there's a couple of guys working on that. I feel like, but.
Yeah, it's like honestly, I think a lot of people just think it's completely dead. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's like they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool that you do like that old school scratching." I'm like, "What?" That's all they like. They'll be like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, people, they're not even that old. They're like in their 30s. They're not even that young. They're in their 30s, and they're just like completely oblivious to like that it even exists still.
Oh yeah. My wife, I took her to her first turntable show of any kind, showed her first videos of any kind, you know what I mean? A lot of my friends, like, and a lot of the people who go to raves, like, religiously now, you know what I mean? I showed them a lot of turntablists, and they all kind of assume turntablists just do, dubstep and house just right off the bat. And, when they hear scratching, some of them are like, I just don't get it. Like, you're just making the sound do this and that. And I'm like, I get it. It's not for you. It's just not for you. Yeah. We'll handle our own thing over here. But, I feel like it is exactly that. A lot of people don't see it as exactly a skill. It's one thing I see all the time in comments now. Oh man, anybody could do that. Anybody do it. I'm like, bro, show me your 3-click flares right now. Like, post your video of those right now. You know what I mean? It's become so unrespected, and it hurts my soul, to be honest with you. But,
Well, you know what, though? It's kind of the struggle right now to deal with that kind of attitude of people is not different than in the 90s when I was put on stage with Beck, and he leaves for 10 minutes to change his outfit, and I'm left on stage in front of 70,000 people and expected to like make them like me. And I had to come up with stuff that people that were just like, that's not really an instrument, that's not even whatever. I had to figure out how to do something that they liked, the smoke on the wall tones, and do all kinds of stuff that would win the crowd over and that kind of thing. And now like magic and shooting sparks when I scratch and stuff like that. It's like people like that, even if they're like hating on scratching, they're just like, dude, I always thought that stuff is whack. But like when I saw you, I was just like, oh, I get it. Why don't more DJs do stuff like that?
I mean, it's so spot on. It's crazy because I had a friend do exactly that. Because that night you did the magic, the vinyl appearing, the sparks, all that shit, and in so many words, they essentially said exactly that. Like, I didn't know DJs did that. Like, why don't any other people do that kind of thing? I like that. People do like the performative of that kind of stuff, which I get, you know what I mean? It's something that I think you help break people into that kind of world, you know what I mean? Like, just like my little origin story of Slayer, you really broke that mold for me, and the magic and then the kind of the spectacle of it, because they don't look at DJs as anything other than kind of a glorified jukebox a lot of the time. And I think when you guys are doing these these flares, these scratches and crabs and all this and adding all that to it's become something more. And it's really frustrating when somebody doesn't recognize that. It's hard to even quantify it, because that's the best way I could put it. It just becomes something more. You take these very simple break beats, these very simple samples, and you make it so exuberant and so. I would get so fucking hyped. Right. I'd get so hyped. Because I played drums. I played drums as a kid, growing up doing music. I couldn't do guitar and all that, but I did drums. So, watching you beat juggle and all that kind of stuff, man, it was like, I never heard drum patterns like this. I never seen something like this. It was it was so mind blowing to me, and I just don't understand how people don't see that. But I love the fact that you make your show so or not acceptable, but receivable, or whatever the word I'm looking for is right now, to outsiders. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because that's what I was when you made me fall in love with DJing. I was an outsider. It was, new to me. I was wearing UFO pants and candy and glow sticks.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it made it accessible, and it made it more than just the music. I guess that's a good way. It was more than just music at that time to me. You know what I mean? You brought, and I'm sure you know this, everybody says it for DJs, it's about making a feeling, creating a moment where everybody's like kind of one. I feel like even when you're not using music, you achieve that. You know what I mean? You can bring us into a moment without it having to drop fucking Annie up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's one of those things that I've always thought was kind of special about, your sets. Like, DJ Craze can get a fucking crowd hyped quick. You know what I mean? He knows exactly what to drop, when to drop it, quick. Fucking Qbert, that boy can do 185,000 scratches in a 20-second period and tell you every single one of them. But, it's not for everybody all the time. You know what I mean? But I've never met somebody that saw one of your shows and came out disappointed. I think that really does speak volumes on what you do as a DJ, as a musician, and for me, I know we're like an hour and 40 minutes into this. Like I said, I don't want to take up all your night, man, but to me, that really did mean a lot to me. It brought me into a world that I didn't know existed before. Metalheads are cool. They're fun people and everything like that. But, man, the DJ world was something completely different for me. And you're the reason I got into that. This interview means a lot to me, man. I hope you know that. It really does. It really does mean a lot to me. But do you have, like I said, I don't want to take your whole night. We talked about like 30 minutes to an hour. I appreciate you staying on with us extra. Definitely.
Loved it.
Yeah, but do you got anything else you want anybody to check out? Your YouTube, or I'm gonna link everything possible so everybody knows. It'll all be linked.
Yeah, for those that don't know, like I came out with this Wearing My Mask 12-inch with the lenticular hologram record. There's a song on it called Bloody Clips, and I mean, I feel like the end of Bloody Clips, like that scratching that I do there, it's just like that was me just like, trying to just take out everybody. And the beats, the bass, everything. It's just, I don't know. I'm really proud of Bloody Clips. The video is on YouTube.
All right.
The song is out on platforms. The Wear My Mask song was something I came up with during the pandemic. I feel like it was the best song during the pandemic. Like, I don't know. It was just, I made it fast and came out with the video fast and everything. It was, I hadn't came out with anything in a while, and it was just, something to do during the pandemic. I wouldn't have did it for any other reason, but I thought it was a good idea, and I came out with it and stuff like that. And I don't think there's a better pandemic song or video. I couldn't find one. I was real proud of it, but yeah, it's not like it really, it probably got shadow banned or something. I don't know. But the Blip song is great. The I'm happy. I mean, the cover was like, had to be the album cover of the year,
I mean, hell yeah, man.
But there's that. I do have new stuff coming. We're mixing it, and I'm working on Stack Styles' new album as well. That's kind of like my main. That's kind of like my day job, working on Stack Styles' record. I've scratched on almost every song of his. I produced a song, I produced like 3 songs, and we're getting that album done. Hopefully it'll be done before June. I don't know when it'll come out, but we're working on that. But also, working on my own stuff. I treat my own music more like, I do it because I love it, and I'll come out with it when it's absolutely perfect, which is getting close to, and trying to yeah, hopefully I get that out soon. You know, I actually was hoping it was going to be out by now, but so many things just, I don't know, you know, trying to get it mixed and getting help from other people.
Mm-hmm.
People are real flaky these days.
I
I
mean,
don't know if you, a lot of people are nowadays just crazy vibes, you know.
oh yeah,
What I mean.
oh yeah, exactly.
So if you want to buy a DJ Swamp shirt, I got every size: small, medium, large, extra large, double XL, 3XL, 4XL. Don't think I got 5. Might have 5.
Yeah,
I think
maybe for the big boys.
4XL. To be safe, I'll say 4XL. But
Big Beck's
yeah, if
still
you want
good.
to buy these, hit me up, DM me, or they're on DJSwamp.com. I also have beanies with the same logo, Stitch logo on the top, black beanies. Yeah, just and then my back catalog, Final Disciple was kind of slept on, but I'm super proud of that record. Like that was one, like how I'm feeling about the new one. Where is it? Oh yeah, that's Final Disciple. So I did this in all the best studios in LA, and I spent at least $100,000 recording this record. It was my baby, and the videos and everything. Video for every song on that album. That's video for every single song. There's like 16 songs. Video for every one of them, and I'm pretty proud of that one. Little Landmine is probably the best one. The second verse is definitely fire. But there's people everything is like 3 drum and bass songs on it. There's some scratch songs on it, and Club Thrashing was like trap before trap.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great song.
Yeah, I got it on my phone. I added it to my library.
I didn't even pick up trap. I was doing dubstep at the time. I'm doing an interview right now.
Hey, we'll definitely. I do that. That record is amazing. We will link
Just added it.
everything for DJ Swamp on our shit. Make sure you guys check his shit out because
Definitely.
DJ Swamp is a legend among legends. Dude, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and doing this with me. Like,
Very awesome.
I'm sorry, with us.
Having me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you so much. I do hope we can do this again in the future. We'd definitely love to talk with you again because, you're a fucking legend.
For sure.
Everybody else, thank you for always listening to Unqualified Adults. I don't talk DJing this much with anybody, but you get me talking
Special
DJing.
opportunity, bro. You got to take advantage of the situations you're given.
That's my nerdum, dog. That's my nerdum. And
do what you got to do, brother.
everything else, we'll be back. We'll be back. It's a little bit of a different episode,
It's like
everybody.
a special episode.
Yep, but we've taken up about an hour and a half of Swamp's time, so we will return. Swamp, man, I appreciate it so much, dude. Yeah, thank you. I know we did more than we had talked about, so I appreciate it.
Definitely.
It's all good. There goes the 7-inch one more time.
Yeah, I fucking love that.
I'm gonna be buying some. Trust me, I'm buying some of those. I totally forgot about those lenticulars, actually. But yeah, thanks so much, man.
All right.
You fucking rule, bro.
Yes,
and
sir.
you have a good night, my
Later
man.
days. Have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, man. It's been a historical night for us.
Damn right. It was actually pretty dope.
It was a very good episode,
Very
I
good
think.
episode.
We always appreciate when our guests are not only talkative, but just very in tune with the conversation.
Facts.
And I would say Swamp was, even though I got a little nervous and didn't do exactly the best
He's
talking.
good. He handled it the best way he fucking could, considering the situation. Trust me.
Got a little mumble.
Some people
mouth.
get fucking starstruck and not say shit at all.
Yeah, Like I said, he'd work with some crazy people, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, some fucking great ones, bro.
Yeah, make sure you check out his website and get some of his records and all that fun stuff because it is worth every fucking penny. I have the fucking Vinyl Disciple record he pulled out. I got that one.
Yeah,
too.
I just added that to my library. I'll probably check it out while I game tonight.
Yeah, it's a good album. Yep, I remember he was sporting that a long time ago, throwing out all the yeah, anyways. Yeah, Thanks to DJ Swamp. He is the fucking man. We appreciate him.
You for coming on, my man.
Our very first celebrity guest.
Yes.
And it was so amazing to have him on.
Yeah. Let us know if you guys can pull some celebrities for us for next time.
And, you know. Maybe,
that'd be nice.
Maybe we'll still pay you. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We'll think about it.
We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But until then.
Yes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on all podcast platforms that we're on. Love you guys. Don't forget to join all the fucking Facebook groups that we're fucking a part of. Next week's the fucking legendary 420 episode. We got Nick Beck. We got Mark Beck. We're going to get fucking stoned and fucking laugh our asses off. It's going to be a fun fucking time. Anything else, Marcus?
Check out DJ Swamp. Make sure you fucking support that man because he's been a huge part of my growing up. And
Facts.
make sure you like and subscribe to our shit too.
Worship the robots, bitch.
Other than that, peace the fuck out.